4 less than 9, more or less than 1%. I can find percentages of quantities like 12.5% and 0.4%, and I understand that to find a 0.1%, an amount, I have to multiply by 0.001. So we're going to talk about moving that decimal point. So during one waiter's shift, he delivered 13 appetizers, 17 entrees, and 10 desserts. Okay, so what percent were desserts? So I'm going to set up my table. So I know that 100% is going to be all the items, right? So 13 plus 17 plus 10. So that's 30 plus 10. So that would be 40 total. I want to figure out what percent is 13. No, I lied. I want to figure out what percent is 10. So I know that I have 10 here. So I'm going to divide by 4 because 40 divided by 10 is 4. So 100 divided by 4 is 25%. So what percent were desserts? 25%. What percent were appetizers? So I have my percentage, I have my food. So I know that 100% was 40 items. I'm looking for this time 13. Well, I can't think of what 13 would be, so I'm going to put a 1 there. Well, let's work backwards, never mind. So I want to figure out what 13 is, so I'm going to have to work backwards. So I have to think, how do I get from 40 to 13? So I'm going to go 40 divided by 13. So I'm dividing by 13, and I get 3.076. So I'm multiplying that doesn't make sense. Let's try that again. I'm all kinds of messed up. Let's just start that one again. Okay. So we have our percentage and our food, right? So I've got 100% is 40 items. I want to figure out what 13 items is. So let's figure out what one item would be, what percent one item is. So I'm going to divide by 40. So I'm going to divide this side by 40. So 100 divided by 40, I get 2.5%. So I want to figure out what 13 items would be. So I'm going to multiply by 13. And I get 32.5%. All right, so what percentage are entrees? Well, let's figure that one out. So I know that I have my percent and I have my food. I know 100% was 40 items. I know that 1% I divide by 40, get 2.5%, and I want to figure out for 17. That shouldn't have a percentage next to it. So I'm going to multiply by 17. So 2.5 times 17, I get 42.5%. So now they're asking, what do your percentages add up to? So I'm doing 25 plus 32.5 plus 42.5. Well, when I add it up, I get 100%, which is what I started with. When I added these up, I got my total food items. So that's how I know I'm right. Okay, for the next one, it says a student government snack shop holds 32 items this week, so they're giving us the total. So they want us to figure out for each snack type what percentage of the snacks were sold. So I want to figure out what percent of 32 is 8. So I know that 100% of fruit cups, so that would be 8. But there were 32 total items. I have 8, so I'm going to divide by 4. I get 25%. What percentage were veggie sticks? So veggie sticks was 6. So I have 100 is 32 items. I want to figure out what one item is, so then I can figure out what 6 items are. I'm going to divide by 32. So 100 divided by 32. I get 3.125. So now I'm going to multiply by 6. And I get 18.75%. So what percent were chips? So I know that 1%, I'm sorry, I know that 3.125% is equal to 1 item. So that means 14 items. I'm going to multiply by 14. So 3.125 times 14, and I get 43.75%. And then it says what percent were water, so that's 4. So I know 3.125% is equal to 1 item. So I want to figure out 4 items. So I'm going to multiply by 4. So 3.125 times 4, and I get 12.5%. So the population of City A was approximately 243,000 people. It increased by 8% in 1 year. What is the new population? Well, I want to figure out an increase of 8%. So that would be 100 plus 8. So my equation would be, I have to move that decimal 2 places over and move this decimal 2 places over. So it would be 1.08 times 243,000. So let's multiply that. 1.08 times 243, and I get 262,400 440 people. So I know my equation based on the lesson before that I'm going to add these two together. Okay, so it says the population of city B was approximately 7,150,000. It increased by 0.8% in 1 year. What was its new population? Well, I'm going to take 100% and I'm going to add 0.8%. So remember, you're moving that decimal 2 places. So that's 1 plus 0.008 this time. So my equation is going to be 1.008 times 7,150,000. So I'm going to multiply that in my calculator. It's still going to be an increase, but it's not going to be as much. I get 7,207,200 people. All right, select all of the options that have the same value as 3.5% of 20. So 3.5 would be 3.5%. It could be, move that decimal 2 places. So it could be 0.035 times 20 times 20 times 20. So let's see what we got. So 3.5%, well, that was the first one we came up with. 3.5 times 20, that was the second one we came up with. Okay, now this one only moves the decimal over 1 place, so C's out. This one moves the decimal over 2 places, so that one's good. Now 7% of 10. Well, let's look at the proportional relationship. So I have 3.5 and I have 20. If I'm going to 10, I'm dividing by 2. This one divided by 2 is not going to be 7%. So it's got to be A, B, and D. So now find each percentage of 75 and explain your reasoning. So percent of, so that tells me to multiply. So I'm doing percent of that number. So 10% of 75, 1% of 75. So remember, you're moving that decimal 2 places to the left every time when you're putting it in your calculator. If you need help or you have questions, there's Khan Academy, Mr. Morgan, a study buddy, or Monday and Tuesday I do small group at 3:45.